All right. How are you all? Thank you for being here. Appreciate you a lot. I love this town. It's such an adorable town, and everyone is so lovely. So anyway, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you're good.
Thank you so much.
Pretty sure everybody knows who is here. Chase Masterson.
Thank you.
Known for Leeta from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. She's also been in Sliders, ER, General Hospital, and is also the co-founder of Pop Culture Hero Coalition.
Yes.
Speaks out against bullying and all forms of hate. I'm kind of just going to open this up to where people can ask questions. I do have a few myself.
Okay.
I just wanted to start off with probably a big one, and that is, joining Star Trek, the story of how you got to be a part of that.
Thank you so much. Well, I'll tell you, I had been in LA a couple years and I didn't know anybody. So in LA, they have these pay to meet showcases where you can pay $30 back then. Now it's more like $150, but you can pay a certain amount to meet a casting director, and then you do your work for them, either a cold reading or a scene that you brought, and maybe they'll remember you and invite you to audition. Well, I didn't have the $30 back then. I was, struggling to make it in the big city. And I said to the person who was doing this showcase company, I said, if you let me take your classes or your showcases, I will make sure other people take them too. I'll do marketing for you. And I did. And so I was allowed a certain number of classes. And one of the classes that I chose was Ron Surma from Star Trek. Okay. Now, from Junie Lowry Johnson's casting company. So I had a friend. This is the reason I chose him. Was I had a friend who there were actually I was in an acting class with this person. In a city of 12 million people, there were 10 people in this class, and 3 of them were Jonathan Del Argo, who played Q the Borg on Next Generation, Garrett from Voyager, and me. Isn't that a wild coincidence? Garrett and I had not been on the show yet. We were, not really working much at all yet. And Jonathan had been on the show on Next Gen, and he would come to class on a Monday night and tell us about these wonderful places that he used to go and get to meet the people who would make the show possible, which is you guys. And so I was really enthralled with that. And I thought, wow, such great stories. I also had a boyfriend who was such a Trekkie that I was only allowed to call him during commercials. Who's sorry now? So, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I decided to meet Ron Surma because of all these things. And I got an audition, and I got the role, the audition for the role of Marta, Jake's girlfriend. This is a very long-winded story. Jake was dating Marta in the 2nd season. Do you remember Marta was a Bajoran Dabo girl? And I thought, how wonderful, a Bajoran spiritual, a Dabo girl fun. I could relate to both of those things. So I thought, what a neat role. Well, they have you audition a lot of times before they cast a role. And I went back, and I got down to the final 2 on that. And they cast the other girl because it was a role opposite Jake, and he was 16 and she's 19 and I'm not. And I thought, oh, how close and yet so far away. I really wanted this role. But then I got this audition for the role of Leeta, and I ended up getting that. And then I found out years later that they wrote the role of Leeta for me. Wow. And they often do that, but then have you audition anyway. Like Jonathan Delancey's son had to audition to play Q's son. But anyway, so that's how I got on the show. And then I have a great story about the first day on the show, if you'd like to hear. All right. So here we were, this show that I really wanted to be on for a very long time. And it was 4:00 in the morning. And that's the time I was usually called because I was there for hair and makeup. And everybody else got there. We started rehearsal at 7. Of course, that's about how long it usually takes me. 3 hours. But I was in the hair trailer, and Avery was in the hair trailer. What Avery was doing in the hair trailer, I don't know. Bluffing, plucking, I don't know.
Yeah, goatee, yes.
Who knows? Anyway, so here we were, and I had loved this show. I had met him at one of the auditions, and I was so excited. I was a little too perky, and I said to the hair lady, "Goodbye, thank you so much for rolling my hair, and I'm going to go down and they're going to put on makeup, and then I'm going to get my costume, and then I'm going to come back, and you can unroll my hair, and I'm so excited to be on the show. Bye, Mr. Brooks." And he turned to me, and he said, "Goodbye, Kathy." And I said, no, I'm not Kathy. I'm Chase Masterson. I'm so excited. I met you during the audition for Marta, but I didn't get that. I got the role of Leeta. I'm so excited. And you're the star. And he said to me, "See you later." I said, no, I'm not Kathy. I'm Chase. I play Leeta. I'm not Kathy. I never even played a Kathy. And he took one long, hard Avery Brooks look at me, and you know how that goes, and said, "Nordic track." Okay. I had done a Nordic track infomercial years ago. I was a sales girl, Kathy. And here I went, my first day on a real job. Avery Brooks, the star, is reminding me of it. How embarrassing. I took one long, hard Chase Masterson look at him, and I said, "Avery, I got paid for doing it. What's your excuse for watching it?" Right? I mean, get a life. Cisco. So he was nice to me after that. Thank you.
I'm just gonna have one more, and then I'm gonna let everybody else go here. What is your favorite episode that you were a part of?
It's my favorite episode. All right. It would have to be Dr. Bashir, I presume.
Oh, yeah.
And that was partly because Ram and Leeta got together during that. Of course, my unrequited love was finally recognized. But it was also very much because I got to work opposite Bob Picardo. Do we love Bob Picardo?
Yes.
Okay. So he's a piece of work, really. I mean, he's great. I love Bob. So we're shooting a scene, and if you'll remember, Ram will not profess his love. And Leeta is so forlorn, I have to go away from the station and start a new life. And so here I am going off onto the shuttlecraft with Bob Picardo. He's going to give me my own cafe. We're leaving Deep Space Nine forever. We're walking, and we hear this voice wailing in the distance. "Leeta! Where? Leeta, wait." And Bob Picardo says, "We heard you the first time." And Ram says, "Leeta, I love you." And I say, "Oh, Ram," as I always said, "Oh, Ram." And I have to stand for this part. And here we are. "Oh, Ram." And we're going to live happily ever after, which is great for us, but not great for Bob Picardo. Why? Because they didn't even give him an exit line. So what? Is he going to let the camera stay on us and get no attention and just fade off into the sunset? Not Bob Picardo.
Oh.
No. Bob went where no actor has ever gone before, and Bob asked for a line. Now, usually on Deep Space Nine, we're not only not allowed to add a line, we're not allowed to add an or an o or a well or anything like that, because the show is written so beautifully. And the writers, you can't improve on their work. But Bob Picardo asked, and it went all the way up through 6 offices, and it went back down. "Okay, Bob, you can have a line. What would you like to say?" And he said, "Let me try a few things." So as Ram and I are kissing, and he's getting his orange makeup all over me. As Ram and I are kissing, Bob Picardo sees this alien woman, and he follows her onto the shuttlecraft. And in one of the takes, he says, "Excuse me, miss. Have you heard about my work with Kama Sutra?" But the first take he did, which I thought was even funnier, they didn't show this one, as Ram and I are kissing, he follows this woman and says, "Excuse me, miss. Have you heard about my work on Voyager?" Star Trek Voyager. So anyway, Bob was he was a fun guy. I know. So So who has a question?
Yeah.
What are the sets like? Incredible.
The sets didn't move and fall apart. I'm sad on that. I won't do that. No, it's okay. I don't need. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The sets were well. Actually, I will sit out there. So the sets were really fun. Thank you. Very real. It was all a world. So it was all as you saw, I'm sure in the show, like you could do a full shot and go from the promenade right into Dr. Bashir's office or
Odo's office.
the sick bay or Odo's wherever you wanted to go. It was all one place and the top level, and you could go into Quark's bar that way. It was really beautiful. The very last day of shooting Deep Space Nine, I have two stories from that. One of them is that all of us who were not in that episode, so Ron and I were already off on Ferenginar. But there were a lot of people that were from behind the scenes and the writers who were in that episode as patrons of Vic's bar. Now, like that included the writers, as I mentioned. They all got their hair cut, so you knew it was a special day. And they all they had these 60s haircuts and suits, and the women in dresses, and it was just really lovely. And there was not a dry eye in the house, as Jimmy Darren, God bless him, he was the loveliest man, so lovely. Anyway, not a dry eye in the house of all of us. And it was a very special day, because of knowing that it was our last day all together. With Deep Space Nine, we knew what we had when we had it. We knew we had a beautifully special show. And so I'll never forget that day. So I went there just to hang out and watch. And I went over to the promenade as they were changing scenes or whatever. And Ron Moore and Brandon Braga, whose names I'm sure you know, also went over to the promenade, which was a different set, a different soundstage. And so we're looking, and it was gone. It was gutted already. They had taken it. We hadn't even finished shooting the show. That's Paramount, CBS, the ultimate Ferengi. So they've already taken it down, but they had one thing left, and it was Dr. Bashir's medicine cabinet. And so Ron yells, "Oh my gosh, look at this!" And Dr. Bashir's medicine cabinet was the only thing that was left, and it had all of these pill bottles of, cool props and stuff. So I took them. All of them. And so, yes. And we were like, okay, let's see, crates and stuff. Dun, 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 dun. So anyway, it was funny because they have alien matter and flammable and highly combustible and things like that written on them. And so the place I was living at the time, I had left a crate out because it was just all too heavy to carry at home. So I left a crate outside my door, and my landlord called me early the next morning, and he said, Hey, you know what? I called the fire department. There's something that's highly combustible alien matter outside your front door, and the fire trucks are on their way. I was like, it's like, Dad, it's a prop. I threw one at him. So anyway, yes. Yeah. So that's my long-winded story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm going to pivot a bit to ER because I'm a tremendous fan of that show. And your episode, Hell and High Water, that was an incredible episode.
Thank you.
I just wonder what it was like being a part of that cast and crew and that experience, especially an episode that pivotal.
It was amazing. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Being on that show was really special for so many reasons. That show broke all records of a dramatic series audience. So 49 million people watched that episode. It aired on Thanksgiving weekend. And I think it broke all, but not like the Olympics and stuff like that, but all regular television, hour dramas. So that was a really special thing. I will tell you, I almost turned down the audition because I had a good booking record. Like I had like some sort of crazy like 80% booking ratio of everything I went out on, which is pretty rare. And I just didn't want to go on something that I wasn't going to get and feel bad about myself. So I almost said, because I looked at it, I was like, I don't think that I'm going to get this. And imagine that if I had, it was just amazing. And that really taught me, you can do more things than you think. Don't discount yourself. Don't rule yourself out. If it's going to happen, let somebody else do it and don't take it personally. You can do more than you may give yourself credit for. So that was really special. And it was very special working with the cast. In fact, I ran into Noah a couple months ago, and I didn't recognize him. Oh my God, he's got this whole beard thing going on and everything, but he recognized me. And he said, Chase Masterson. And I said, hi. And he said, Noah Wiley. You. So it was really sweet for him to remember. And Jerry O'Connell's also like that from the episode Sliders that I did. Very, very sweet. And anyway, and I met George. And I, met most of the rest of the cast, and they were really nice. They're very nice people. One thing I will tell you also is that episode went on to be shown during the Emmys, and not the whole episode, but they showed my scene as part of the Emmy program, and that show won. So anyway, I'm glad I didn't turn it down. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, it was very special. Thank you for saying that. And another interesting thing, if I may, so I'm sorry, can I just tell you one more thing? Sure. That episode was directed by a name you might know, Chris Chulak. And Chris Chulak was a doctor. And he then decided that he wanted to get into television. Funny story about those things. And just did, And like he could have discounted himself and said, no, I'm a doctor, I can't do that. But he did, and look at, what he's doing now. So a lot of cool things like that. Yes.
I was just wondering, because you're not like in every episode of DS9. So are you just on call? Do you just have to sit and wait, or can you do other things?
We could do other things. And I did a lot of other shows during that time. ER Sliders. I had another show I was recurring on. I was sometimes on twice in one night, and once opposite myself on two different networks. Lazy. Which is, frankly, there's so many actors who are wonderful, who are so talented, who never get to work at all, and so I know how blessed I was. But anyway, we were not contracted, so they could have killed us off at any time. And that was all of the recurring characters. That was Rom, Nog, frankly, I think maybe Jimmy wasn't, I don't know if he was, maybe Andy Robinson was contracted, but a lot of the recurring characters were not contracted. And so it was, if we were available, of course we would be available, but it was just a matter of scheduling and stuff. So it's really nice that they kept us for as long as they did. They sure didn't have to. Yeah. Javetta.
You ever just go back and watch your shows just as for fun or with the family, or is it just awkward?
It's awkward in me. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has that experience, but it's hard to watch yourself. And so many actors say that.
Oh,
I often find that after the first or second time, if I do watch, if I can bring myself to watch it a third time, then I give myself a little bit of a break and make it okay. They say something which I think is really interesting. You're never going to be, your last piece of work or your past work is never going to be as good, hopefully, as you are now, because you've learned from everything you've done. And I guess that could be said about a lot of things, relationships, work in any area, So it's cringeworthy, but not always. And it was quite a while actually before I could watch much Star Trek of my own. Yeah, so yeah.
So I've heard that the sets are really cold. How did you stay warm in the costumes on DS9?
Isn't it interesting? The sets were cold. They give us bathrobes and things like that. One interesting thing is that that was the least of my worries. My thing was my shoes, because my costume was built into my shoes, so I'd have to take the whole costume off if I wanted to take my shoes off, and the shoes were like talk about Barbie feet, like whoa. And so I was like, I would like literally like want to cry by the end of the day. Plus, the regulation Starfleet bra, that was yeah. I don't know why they keep it so cold. Maybe to keep people awake. I don't know. Yes. You have a question? Yeah.
Right here. What was it like working on Star Trek Online? Was it more like straightforward, or?
It was a blast. I love doing Star Trek Online, partly because Leeta became Mirror Leeta.
Yeah.
So who in here plays Star Trek Online? Super fun game, right? So Leeta on Star Trek Online was the third actor that they used. The first two were Leonard Nimoy, Zach Quinto. So Spock, and Leeta, that happens all the time, actually. Yeah. So, but I got on the show, it kind of in the same way that I got my action figure, by saying, "Hey, I want to be on the show." Hey, I'm like an action figure. I mean, you gotta speak up for yourself, right? It's a big family. You gotta have a loud voice. So anyway, I had said, "Gosh, this is such a fun game, and I'd like to be on it." And so they wrote Leeta. Holo Leeta. So Leeta was first in the Holo Suite. Then they wrote Leeta. I forget which one was first, but Leeta, like 30 years later, like what it would be now. So Leeta and Rob are off in Ferenginar. What are we doing? And that was fun. There was like some sort of Ferengi heist. I don't remember exactly. But the big fun was Mirror Leeta, who was such a monster. Like, she would eat the Borg Queen for breakfast and come back for more. She was. And Mirror Leeta in the Terran Empire universe went up against Wesley Crusher and beat him. So now I'm Emperor Leeta. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm the Emperor of the Terran Empire. But yeah, monstrous. Just yeah. So which is pretty fun to be able to be a monster. No, seriously though, because you can't be like a cardboard villain. I mean, every villain has things that drive them and brokenness inside, frankly, and it doesn't excuse it. That's all I'm going to say right now. But so it was a really, really cool role.
Any projects coming up?
I'm attached to a film I can't talk about. I'm not sure when the funding is going to happen for that, but it's a fun role and a great group of people I love working with, that I've worked with before. And what else? I will tell you a big focus of mine, which is my nonprofit. And I am really excited and grateful for the work that we're doing. So have you guys heard about it? It's called Pop Culture Hero Coalition. And it's our program is called The Heroic Journey. And this is a pretty good story. So I founded this, if you don't mind, is this okay? So I founded this in 2013. And I did it because I realized that bullying is one of the main issues that plague the world. And I had been really, just after Deep Space Nine, I had a stalking experience, which was a really bad experience, and I did not handle it well. I didn't have the tools to handle it well. I didn't know what to do. I was terrified. I was rageful, really angry. It was pretty bad. And it originated, wasn't all from a Star Trek fan, but it was from somebody that I trusted who was a member of my fan club. And I mean, there's like 1 in 10,000 people are, the rest of everybody is just absolutely wonderful, right? So I was so angry, and I drank and I was not in good shape at all. And I finally was 6 months sober. I'm 18 now. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm almost a drinking age. Well, all right. So, no, not, I don't need it. But a friend of mine said, if you want to help people, I'm sorry, if you want to feel better, go do something that helps people whose lives are worse than you. I know a lot of people have worse lives, but I didn't know anybody who was as angry as I was at that point, little me. I felt like my rage could be pulled out of gang members. So I went downtown and I started working with a friend to help gang members, like actual Crips and Bloods, people who had just gotten out of prison and who wanted to put their lives together and make their lives good. And I worked with those kids for 4 years, and I discovered most of them were bullied, like jumped in, like threatened with their lives. And I realized this stuff is happening like half an hour from my house, you know? And what a world. And the imbalance of power in the world is also awful, and it's based in a lack of empathy and all that stuff. And in the meantime, I was going to Star Trek conventions on the weekends, you know, so we're celebrating billion-dollar properties with fictional bullets flying. And then on Monday, I go and work with these kids and help them. I got them into housing and jobs and substance abuse programs, you know, all that. Just a lot of stuff. And I could see that the transformation was amazing. I mean, these people became like brothers, and not to get too into it, but they would have killed each other for fun. And now they become like brothers because they know what empathy is. They know not to other each other. We are all very much alike in most of the important ways, and that our differences are beautiful, absolutely beautiful and stunning. And that's what makes the world rich. And so I thought, let's bring these two things together. The power of entertainment, you know, these stories are the most successful stories of all time, right? I mean, 60 years now. And then, you know, all the other stories. The Avengers was the highest grossing movie of all time at one point. Star Wars, everything. So I thought, let's bring these two things together. So I got a bunch of pop culture fluent clinical psychologists and and a couple of educators, and we put together a thing at Comic-Cons. And I was able to bring the United Nations, the No Hate Campaign, Listen, several other organizations, and Amnesty. And other programs to their very first Comic-Con, creating an intersection between heroism on screen and heroism in real life. And we were able to tell people, if you want to go volunteer for somewhere, here's a great place to go volunteer, and here's what's the good things that are happening in the world, and just to encourage that. Well, the reason that I did that, I'm just backing up a little bit, before we did our first Comic-Con in 2013, I was working with this little girl, this girl's mom named Katie. You might have heard of Katie, the Star Wars girl. So this little girl named Katie, this is a great story, okay? Katie is bullied in first grade for liking Star Wars. And all the boys would follow Katie around and say, you can't like Star Wars, you're a girl. Well, right, ladies? Yeah. So little Tiny cried. She went home to her mom and she said, Mom, I'm not going to like Star Wars anymore. I'm just going to carry my pink lunchbox. And Carrie said, Katie, you can be whoever you are. You can be who you are. You can love what you love. You can, don't let anybody stop you. But Katie was really depressed and went to bed. So Carrie, the mom, has a very widely read blog. And she wrote on her blog, if anybody out there has been bullied, especially gender bullied, could you say a few words of encouragement to my daughter? Well, the blog post went viral. Huffington Post picked it up. Thousands of people responded. I was one of them, saying, Katie, you be you, right? IDIC, right? So, Katie was very encouraged, kept her Star Wars lunchbox, was a role model for other little girls who love Star Wars and Star Trek and other things. I kept in touch with the mom, Carrie, and Carrie wrote a book on ending bullying. HarperCollins picked up the book and she asked me to help her get it into Comic-Con. And I said, let's do more than that. Let's form a coalition to bring these stories in and really make the world better, right? Let's make this a world where we can all live long and prosper, right?
Yeah.
So I said, let's form a coalition. So I got off the phone. I was like, what's a coalition? I said, how do you do that? So I looked up the word. I was like, okay, I got the right word. Who has a coalition? How can I form a coalition? So I thought the United Nations, they form coalitions, right? So I called them Colt. And somehow I got on the phone with the president of the United Nations Association, San Diego. And I said, hi, this is Chase Masterson from Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. And I'm doing a coalition to end bullying. And you guys do that, right? with countries. And I said, and we're going to go to Comic-Con and form a big thing. And I said, would you join us? And she said, oh my God, we've always wanted to go to Comic-Con. So brought the UN association, then someone from the UN proper, then all the other organizations that I mentioned. And that's how that started. And then somebody said, you should write a curriculum. And I was like, okay. So we did. And this is a good story too, if I may. We wrote this curriculum from 2015 and I gathered the psychologists and we raised the money somehow. We paid everybody. Not much, but we did. Part of it was selling Be Kind t-shirts that we ended up getting. Bill Shatner founded this campaign for us. Yeah, he's actually the first person that put us in touch with other people to do this. So anyway, so we worked on this curriculum from 2015 to 2020. And we had a launch in writing of March 15th, 2020. The exact date that the world shut down. So I sat there in my little chair where I had run this whole thing and really just worked so hard, 12-hour days, 16-hour days, trying to put this together and writing this curriculum. And it was a 32 lesson plan, beautiful curriculum that talked about Harry Potter is really all about bullying, right? Like if you're a muggle or if you're a wizard, and all of these great stories that say so much about courage and being who you are and standing up for what you believe in and standing up for other people and all of that. And we had nothing because of course we weren't going to get into any schools at that point. There weren't even schools, right? So I sat there and I thought, we have nothing. And then I thought, wait, use your skills. Don't, the thoughts we think affect our feelings. And I'm not going to go there. Just like we teach, I had to do it myself. And I said, we don't have nothing like that kid in the corner of the internet who just wants to make real friends and now can't. We don't have nothing like those kids that need to go find their people, or they're not going to have the support they need. We don't have nothing like that kid in a pressure cooker of a household whose parents are arguing and everything is hard. And now it's only going to get worse with job loss and grief and everything else. So right then, I called my people and I said, okay, guys, we're going to pivot this program. We're going to make it available at home. And we got it translated somehow. Not only did we pivot the program and give it straight to parents, not through schools, but straight to parents and kids and teenagers too. We had it translated into German, Spanish, and Italian because of the nature of the global pandemic. And full on with if you live here, here's your hotline, here's your thing. If you're depressed, if all that. And we got it done. And then YMCA of the USA, the national office, called us and they said, we've heard about what you're doing. We'd like you to be our national program. And they could have had anybody, any program, any kid's mental health program, and they chose ours. So we are now we're nationwide. We, in our beta stage, we've impacted, the program has been provided to over 500,000 people. I'll tell you one story. A kid in the Louisville Y, 7 years old, comes in making violent threats. And they realize, okay, something's going on with him. What's going on at home? And they find out there's a lot of bad stuff happening at home. They try to figure that out. they started working with this kid with the Heroic Journey, our program. And 2 months later, he's making us videos saying, would you send this to the people that made the program? He's sending us videos saying things like, I love the Heroic Journey because it teaches me I don't have to be angry all the time. I don't have to hurt myself and other people. And he goes, like the Hulk. Sometimes I'm angry and sometimes I'm not. I can choose which one. And I mean, we can't always choose which one, but I can choose what to do, that kind of thing. Amazing. Like, what kind of tragedy did we avert? And we have lots of stories like that. So I'm very grateful. I know that was a very long-winded, I don't even remember the question. I think that really, my lesson in that was do the next right thing. Because at Comic-Con, or before Comic-Con in 2013, I could never have imagined this. I would never have imagined it. I was scared, and I was frankly a mess inside, I mean, I was better by that time, and I'd learned some skills, but just do the next right thing. You don't have to know what the next 3 right things are, but if you do the next one right thing, that will probably take you to the next one after that. And you know what the next right thing is based on who you want to be. What do you want your story to be? We get to choose what we want our stories to be. At least some, at least some of our story. So anyway. Honored, thank you.
You probably take one more question, and then we'll have to set up for the next.
Yeah.
Without any spoilers, since it's still pretty recent, I was just wondering if you had heard or knew about the most recent episode of Starfleet Academy.
Yes.
Yes.
I got a text from my. Can you believe we still have fan clubs? I got a text from my fan club president yesterday saying, or 2 days ago saying, Sirach, sorry, I don't want to spoil. I just spoiled it, didn't I? Just spoiled it. Yeah. There's a cast member I love who's back. So that's all I know. I know. That's all I will say. But anyway, I don't know very much about the show. I haven't seen it at all. Have you all seen it?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh. Can I tell you one really funny story about Lower Decks? Okay, it's really worth it, okay? Okay. So I'll tell you how I got on Lower Decks. This is hilarious. Years ago at Comic-Con, I'm walking down the path. This is San Diego Comic-Con. I'm walking down the path with a friend. We're going to Bill Prady's party. Bill Prady is from The Big Bang Theory. And he has the party that's the best thing at Comic-Con. It's really cool. And I know Bill from the strike, actually. And so anyway, we're talking with a friend, and we're talking about the party. And we hear this voice in back of us going, oh my gosh, you're going to Bill's party? I would love to go to Bill's party someday. And I was like, come with me. And I don't know what made me say it. It was Mike McMahon. And he said, I brought him in with me. He seemed like a really nice guy. He was a young writer. I thought, it doesn't hurt me. Just come on in. And he said to himself that day, I'm going to cast her in something someday. And he did. Oh, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? So be nice to people. Just be nice to them for the sake of being nice to them, right? Be kind. But it certainly never hurts to just spread kindness everywhere you go. No matter what, right? It's not why you do it. You don't do it so you'll get something in return, but you end up making the world better. So anyway, you guys have been so lovely. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you. If you'd like to know more about the charity or our Be Kind campaign, shameless plug, come on by. And I appreciate all of you guys. Really, thank you so much. Okay. Now's the awkward moment where we die.
The next panel will be with Clay Adams, and that's framed, and it'll start at about 1.
And your lovely moderator. Thank you so much. And you.